Once upon a time, there was a king and a queen who reigned a rich place with wisdom. It was surrounded with a beautiful thick forest, and quite often you could see the peasants cutting wood or picking up herbs and wild fruit. There were also rich grapevines and olive groves, and people were happy to take care of them. In spring, they trimmed the vines and the olive trees, and they dug the fields, and in summer, they grew tomatoes and vegetables. They harvested the grains and the grapes towards the end of summer until the mid of autumn. Ploughing and sowing of grain, harvesting olives and pruning were some of the most important pieces of work for people. Others were shepherds and made cheese and yogurt, took care of beehives and produced honey.
The villages and towns were full of people working and being busy as bees. There were a lot of technicians in their workshops: carpenters, blacksmiths, tailors, barrel makers, shoemakers, and saddle makers. The kingdom was full of life.
The king and queen's happiness was going to complete with a baby. They wanted one so much for so long. One day the queen went to the forest, and while she was sitting under an oak tree, a fairy appeared and said, "Your wish will become true. You will have a daughter this year." Indeed, a year later, the queen gave birth to a beautiful little girl. The king organized a big celebration. He invited his relatives and friends, and above all, he invited the 13 fairies of his kingdom. However, he didn't invite one of them, which was wicked, and everybody was afraid of her.
Celebration was really great. At the end of it, the fairies came one by one and gave the baby gifts: beauty, wealth, and when they finished with the gifts, the little girl would have anything a person could wish for in this world. The 12th fairy who would give her a long life was about to come, but suddenly the 13th appeared full of anger. She came to avenge the king for not having invited her, and she shouted, "When the king's daughter becomes 15, a needle will prick her and she will die." Everybody was speechless. Then the 12th fairy, who hadn't given the gift yet, said, "She won't die, but she and the whole kingdom will fall into a deep sleep for 100 years. Then only the power of love will break the spell."
gifts she was given by the fairies. She was beautiful, polite, and kind. She played with peasants' children, she took long walks in the vineyards, she watched people work, and she often helped them, or she ate bread, cheese, and olives under the trees with them. She liked riding a little donkey, and she went to the water source together with a woman. At the fanfares, she danced and jumped over the fires she and her friends had lit.
When the girl became 15, and while she was wandering round the palace, she found herself out of an isolated tower. She went upstairs and saw a small door with an old rusty key. She turned the key, opened the door, and there she saw an old woman knitting. The curious young princess asked her what it was that she had, and asked if she could learn how to knit. But when she took the needle into her hands, it pricked her, and she immediately fell into a deep sleep on a bed which was next to her.
The whole kingdom fell asleep. The king and the queen slept in the big lounge. The servants at work, even the horses at the stables, the dogs in the yard and the pigeons on the roof. The tree leaves didn't move, the foods at home was left half-baked, the mills stopped grinding and the water stopped flowing. A frightening peace spread all over the kingdom.
So 100 years passed. The people who lived nearby couldn't remember anymore the happy kingdom, which was covered in thick thorny bushes and was inaccessible. Then a brave young prince appeared. He came because he had hunting rabbits and wild birds. He had tied his horse at an inn, and he said it was the locals who were drinking wine.
They told him to take another road because the thick forest, because those who go in there, they lose their way. Someone had heard from his grandpa that at the heart of this forest there was a kingdom with a sleeping princess. The young man said, "I want to see this place. I'm not scared. And if there is a sleeping beauty, I will wake her up."
E ha raggiunto i suoi amici là, il suo viaggio la continuerà, con gli amici in montagna arriverà, e a giocare felice lui potrà. Senti rosso adesso dove andrai? Volerò veloce verso la pianura, in collina se ne salirò, nel mio nido casa di riposar, e al risveglio tornerò a giocare.
And so he did. Brave as he was, he managed to walk through the thick forest, and he was really surprised to discover the sleeping kingdom. He looked for the princess and found her. He was dazzled by her beauty. He cried, and when he thought that this girl would be sleeping forever, his heart broke. He bent and gave her a kiss. Then the girl woke up, and the spell broke. Slowly, everybody, one by one, woke up and looked at each other puzzled.
Life started again from the point it had stopped. The king was happy and decided to marry his daughter with the young prince. There was a big feast and all of the citizens of the kingdom were invited. They ate, drank, sang and danced with great pleasure, and they lived happily ever after.